Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Sandy.
And welcome to Heart Healthy Cooking with WellSpan.
I get so excited. We have all these wonderful looking ingredients. I can't wait to see what we're making. What's on the agenda today?
Yes, I'm excited too. So we're gonna make a winter squash and quinoa gratin. Now, when you think of gratin, it usually means it's very creamy, so it's gonna be high in fat and sodium. But I'm excited to say we've modified the recipe, and so we're still gonna call it a gratin, but it's gonna be heart healthy. So it's gonna be a great comfort food without the guilt.
I like the sound of that. Let's go
Yes.
ahead and get started.
Let's do it.
So one of the first things we're going to do is I'm going to just turn on the oven over here, the stove top, and what we want to do is we're going to get everything ready to go. We're going to get our oil moving a little bit. So just get my temperature up. We're going to start with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and we'll just put that right in the pan. All right. And then we've got some onions that we've already got diced up. Now, once these are in, we're going to let them soften a little bit. So we're going to go for about 4 to 5 minutes, just kind of let them get a little bit softer. All right. Can you tell us anything fun about winter squash?
So winter squash is actually very low in calories, and it has, you can see the orange color, you're going to have the vitamin A and also a lot of vitamin C. So it's a great way to get in your vegetable serving on few calories and high fiber.
Okay. One of the things when I was doing some research is there are so many different types of winter squash.
There are, yeah.
There's like acorn squash, butternut squash,
Yeah.
Hubbard squash, pumpkin is one,
Yeah.
gourds are another. And one of the things I found out is that the difference between pumpkins, gourds, and squash really comes from the stem, which makes no sense. Some of the stems are like spongy, some are rigid, some are non-rigid, some are a little bit harder and woody, and that's actually where the difference comes from as far as the type of squash that you're looking at.
See, I learned something new today.
Yeah. So again, as this just kind of softens up a little bit, then one of my favorite things is we're going to add a little bit of minced garlic. And get that right in there. There we go. Perfect. And then because this is heart healthy, we're going to use just a little bit of salt. Yep. So I'm just going to use a small pinch of salt here just to give it a little bit of flavoring. We're going to actually preserve that for a little bit later. And we just want to let these meld together for about another minute. This is where the kitchen really starts to get aromatic. Really start to smell that garlic.
I can smell it already.
Now we've got our butternut squash ready, or our winter squash I should say, and we put this up into like 1-inch cubes. You can make them smaller. Depending upon the cooking time will be how hard this is. And this is actually rather soft, so it shouldn't take too long. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to add that right into our onion mixture. And then we're just going to like saute this for about 10 minutes or so. We've got some fresh rosemary, put that right in. And then we also have some fresh thyme.
Now, if you don't want to use fresh herbs, you can use dried. You just use half the amount that it calls for.
So again, we're going to let this soften up. Going to go for about 10 minutes or so. We'll just stir it every so often. That rosemary is going to be a little pungent, but it's going to give it a lot of nice flavor as we go. All right, so this is pretty much ready. One of the things we want to make sure is that our squash gets cooked, but we don't want it to be too mushy because it is going to bake in the oven.
Right.
And I think we're pretty much ready. So we can go ahead and we can pull this off. And then we're going to go ahead and get started on the next portion of it.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to put some egg whites in here. Just the egg whites, no yolk. It's going to be fat-free and low in calories.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pull these off. This pan is a little bit heavy, so I'm going to let Amy just go ahead and do that.
That's right.
So we're adding all this wonderful cooked squash and onions right into the egg whites.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay, so we'll give that a little stir.
Now again, because we're low on sodium, we're going to add just another little pinch of salt to this with a little bit of pepper. Just put a little bit in there. There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
So bring in the pepper next.
And then we're going to add in some quinoa. I'm going to talk a little bit about quinoa and how good it is.
Yes. So quinoa is a great grain. It's gluten-free, it's high in fiber, high in protein, and there's many different types. So what we're using today, it's a tricolor. So it's a mixture of white, black, and red. I like red a lot because it has that chewy texture and it's a little nutty. And you know what? I always like to get a little nutty.
You do like to be a little bit nutty.
I do. Just gonna mix that in.
It's looking good.
Yes. Okay. And then for the final ingredient, we have some Swiss cheese. And Swiss cheese is actually one of the better cheeses to use for heart health because it's much lower in sodium compared to your other cheeses. And it's also a little bit lower in fat. You still want to be careful with how much you have, but it's definitely better for heart health compared to all the other cheeses out there. We cut them into very small cubes, so that way with every bite you're going to get a little bit of that cheesy flavor.
Looks delicious.
So it's very evenly distributed. This is looking really good.
I think we're ready to transfer to our dish.
Yes.
I'll pull this out of your way.
We just greased a dish with some non-stick cooking spray, so that way we're not adding more fat and calories to this dish.
So it's about a 2-quart baking dish that you're going to put in here. And then this is going to go in the oven for about 35 minutes, 375 degrees.
Yep.
All right. Looks like we just came out of the oven, about ready to rumble here. That looks delicious, Amy.
It does. It really does.
So it's going to be really hot temperature-wise, but I think we're ready to have somebody taste test it. If somebody's available, like Tom.
Yep, here I am.
Come on
I
in
smelled
here.
it from afar.
Oh,
Don't
This-
burn your tongue, though.
yes, it's hot.
I'll
Just
lower it
got
a
out
little
of the
bit.
oven.
This looks like an excellent meal for a chilly night.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one.
That's really good. It has like a really good flavor profile. You know, the squash, but all the stuff you put on top, very good. Has a little
Excellent.
crunch to it, very good.
That's what we love to hear, okay? Not only is it taste good, heart healthy, very simple to make.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for joining us today for another edition of Heart Healthy Cooking with WellSpan. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.